Officers shot in the line of duty.
As soon as they got out of the car, the one person opened fire on both of them.
How a 9-year veteran put his own life on the line to save his partners. Plus the latest information we're learning about today's shootout.
I hear another like 4 bangs, probably like just boom, boom, real loud.
At the top, first on Fox, a wild shootout in broad daylight leaves 2 SAPD officers fighting for their lives and a suspect dead. We've been following this story for you since we broke on air this afternoon. The gunfire erupted just before 4 o'clock south of the San Antonio College campus.
It happened on Evergreen near Maine, just north of downtown. Fox San Antonio's Renee Santos has been at the scene all day and joins us live with what we know right now. Renee.
Well, the scene has been cleared up and traffic is back to normal, but hours ago it was complete chaos. Officers were running as witnesses watched from a distance.
It's just chaos, and you see like some man just laying on the floor. I didn't know what was going on.
Witnesses watched as officers rushed down Evergreen. 2 officers shot, 1 suspect dead.
But all the cops came out of nowhere, just quick. It happened instantly.
San Antonio Police Chief William McManus says 2 officers were patrolling the area to deter crime. That's when a call for a suspicious person came in. The officers initiated contact with 2 men walking down the street. That's when one opened fire on the officers.
I hear another like 4 bangs, probably like just boom, boom, real loud.
It was just very scary.
Andres Overa is still trying to process what he saw.
It was crazy. I've never seen that before.
A second suspect was taken into custody. As investigators continue to find out why shots were fired at the officers, Overa says thank you to first responders who put their lives on the line.
It's a rough job to have, and all we have to do is support them and appreciate the job that they do for us.
And even after being shot, the officers managed to fire back, hitting and killing the gunman. The second suspect is still being questioned and in custody. Reporting live, Renee Santos, Fox News at 9.
And we continue our team coverage of the officer-involved shooting with San Antonio's Camilla Rambaldi. She's live at SAMC, where the injured officers are being cared for tonight. Camilla.
Brian, right now the latest on their conditions is still very limited, but at last check, Chief McManus told us one officer was shot in the head and is in grave condition. He also told us he is not expected to survive. The other officer who was shot was hit in the chin and is listed in critical condition right now, but Chief McManus told us he is expected to recover. As you can imagine, this is a very difficult time, and Chief McManus is asking for everyone's support tonight.
Medical staff and the support staff at SAMC has done a fantastic job on these 2 officers. They've done a fantastic job accommodating the family and the police officers who are there now, checking on their brothers, and I don't know what more they could possibly do. As far as the public goes, I would just pray for those officers and their families.
Getty is asking for prayers tonight. The names of those 2 officers have not been released yet. They were 9-year veterans. Tonight here, tons of police officers have been coming by to show their support for the families. And we're going to stay here tonight and bring you the very latest as soon as more information becomes available. Live on the Northeast side tonight, Camilla Rambaldi, Fox News at 9.
Thanks, Camilla. And tonight there is already a growing memorial in front of San Antonio Police Headquarters. That is where Fox San Antonio's Michael Locklear joins us now.
Yeah, let me show you this memorial here. Some of these patriotic balloons in the wind here. And there are a couple of posters here as well. You can see this one says, "We back the blue. Prayers for SAPD. Blessed are the peacemakers. Your lives will always matter. #Blue Lives Matter." These are the latest additions, this flower here and this vase and a couple of flowers as well. So that's what we have here right now. This is the 3rd time that San Antonio has had to make this kind of memorial just since November. Of course, starting with Detective Marconi, then firefighter Scott Dean, and now with this officer who is fighting for his life, and of course 2 officers injured is what we've been reporting. You see the memorial here. Folks are coming together as SAPD deals with this difficult time. Michael Locklear, Fox News at 9.
Robert Price here at the live desk, where a lot of reaction to this shooting continues to pour in from local leaders, both on the city and state level. Let's start with the statement we just got from new mayor Ron Nierenberg. He says, quote, "Today was a difficult day for the San Antonio Police Department and the San Antonio community when 2 officers were shot in the line of duty. We appreciate the work of the doctors and nurses at SAMC. We ask for your continued prayers for our officers, their families, and the SAPD community." Now this from Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. He also asked for all Texans to join him in prayer for the officers, adding, quote, "My office is willing and ready to assist in the ongoing investigation in any way necessary. Our law enforcement officers are true Texas heroes and deserve our prayers and support now and always." We also caught up with new District 6 City Councilman Greg Brockhouse. This is what he had to say tonight.
You see them vulnerable and hurting, you really realize these are people. These people have families and they have lives. So we have to do the best we can to always remember that when it comes to our first responders.
The San Antonio Fire Department also sharing its support on social media tonight. They posted a red and blue line alongside the message, "Sticking Together." Ryan.
A poignant tribute indeed. We're going to be updating this story around the clock on our website, foxsanantonio.com. Meantime, tonight, the 20-year-old driver who crashed into a bus back in March is now behind bars. A grand jury indicted Jack Young from Lakey in connection with the deadly bus crash that happened on Highway 83 near Concan. Prosecutors say Young turned himself in last night. The grand jury began reviewing the case on Monday. Young is facing multiple charges, including intoxicated manslaughter, and intoxication assault. A district judge set Young's bond at $380,000. His next court appearance is scheduled for late July.
An update tonight. New murder charges have been brought against convicted baby killer Janine Jones. She's now accused of killing 8-month-old Ricky Nelson in 1981 and 4-month-old Patrick Zavala 1 year later.
True justice will come when she stands before the Lord. But on earth, on this side of heaven, I believe that she should take her last breath from behind bars.
Jones is suspected of killing dozens of babies while she worked as a nurse at the Bexar County Hospital back in the early 80s, but has only been convicted of killing 1. Now, in a report released tonight by ProPublica, Jones apologizes for all the damage I did, adding, "I look back now on what I did and agree with you now that it was heinous," and that it was indeed heinous. Now, she is set to be released next March.
Yeah, but she's now facing 4 new murder charges tonight, which means she will have to come to Bexar County to await trial on those charges before she is released.
We have to do something, and the only thing that we have is our voices, even as small as they are. We have to say, well, this is happening.
Journalists in Mexico under siege. Who's targeting reporters south of the border and why the threats are only escalating? It's a Fox San Antonio special report when we return in 45 seconds.
You're watching Fox News at 9.
A rise in gunfights, crime, and now threats against journalists for a newspaper in the Mexican state of Tamaulipas are only escalating. Just a few hours away from San Antonio, people who work at that newspaper are fearing for their safety.
Fox San Antonio's Yami Vergen will spend the next few weeks looking at each Mexican state that borders Texas. Tonight, she takes us to Nuevo Laredo, where journalists fear they will be attacked by the state government trying to silence them.
Each name
Miroslava Brench, Maximiliano Rodriguez
represents Mexican reporters who have been killed just this year alone, simply for doing their job.
Filiberto Alvarez, Javier Valdez.
For you as a journalist in Mexico, when you see each one of their faces and their stories with Miroslava killed in front of her 14-year-old child, how does that make you feel?
I think that is the biggest fear of any journalist, to die and to leave the people that you love.
Nowhere do journalists feel the pressure more these days than in the Mexican state of Tamaulipas, one of 4 states bordering Texas. Last month, more than 25 people died in the Tamaulipas city of Reynosa. Up the border, in another Tamaulipas city, Nuevo Laredo, Ninfa Cantú, the Anders family, has owned El Mañana paper for 93 years. This week, Deander and her journalists felt the pressure of violence, so she decided to publish a warning the paper received from a high-level U.S. government source that an attack was allegedly being planned against them.
Nos sentimos muy amenazados.
Deander tells us that the allegation was that someone with the government of Tamaulipas was planning and allegedly orchestrating an attack with the mayor of Nuevo Laredo because of investigative stories done by the paper. The mayor denies those allegations. Deander and the chief of the investigative unit, Daniel Rosas, believe going public was the only thing they could do.
We have to do something. And the only thing that we have is our voices, even as small as they are. We have to say, well, this is happening.
Their motivation, protecting their people and freedom of speech.
As a reporter, we have a responsibility to show what is happening. But sometimes people get the wrong idea that by killing the voice, you're killing the messenger and you're killing everything. And that is wrong, because killing the messenger is not going to change anything.
These journalists believe what they're living through and the amount of bloodshed in Mexico is something the U.S. needs to pay close attention to.
We are living in a country in war, in a war zone.
Is Mexico at war right now?
In some places, yes.
No, señores. No.
Deander says if Mexico does well, the United States will do even better. And part of that means truly having a free press. And here in Mexico, sometimes that comes at a high price.
Nobody wants to be a martyr, so that is not worth. But that is the sad thing. Who is going to do this? Because somebody has to do something. Probably you. Probably somebody. Who is going to do? Who is going to speak if they try to silence the voices of the journalists?
Jamie Virgen, Fox News at 9.
Now, just a month ago, the mayor of Nuevo Laredo went public claiming the paper was trying to extort him. He says they were charging high ad rates for positive stories on his administration. The paper has denied this. Meanwhile, the Mexican federal government has now opened a case to investigate those allegations.
We're going to be hopefully making a judgment about investment in public transportation and investment in VIA to ensure that we're not just moving vehicles, but we're moving people.
Save that change. The extra cost San Antonians may soon absorb to bolster public transportation.
Plus,
Precious memories lost. The trouble one high school is having retrieving school pictures and what happened after Fox San Antonio stepped in to investigate.
and
Multitasking just got easier. The extra Wi-Fi capabilities residents now have in several designated areas of the city.
And what your greatest weather threat's going to be going into the end of the week and how you can protect yourself.
From the Terrorism Alert Desk in Washington, I'm Lindsay Mastis. Emerging terror threats have forced the hand of Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly. Kelly is rolling out new security measures for laptop computers aboard all commercial flights coming into the U.S. Passengers will see some changes, but other measures will be out of view. The FBI still has no suspects 1 year after a tourist stepped on a homemade explosive device in New York City's Central Park. Well, the man nearly lost his leg. Federal authorities don't believe it was a terrorist act, but similar devices had been used in terror attacks. Some extra help in the war on terror. NATO Secretary Jens Stoltenberg at a NATO meeting in Brussels says the time is now for increased cooperation between NATO and the EU in the fight against terrorism. Can the U.S. shoot its way out of terrorism? DHS Secretary Kelly says no, and that the U.S. will be dealing with terrorism for some time, and intelligence should drive America's responses. And in the wake of several recent terror attacks on the London Bridge, the All England Club's tennis championship, better known as Wimbledon, is putting up protective barriers along the route into the facility. Well, these are just two of the measures police say that they're taking to keep the public safe during the event, which starts next week. From the Terrorism Alert Desk, I'm Lindsay Mastis.
this is Fox News.
New tonight, a big shift is happening locally for immunization records. Now, Metro Health is moving thousands of patient immunization records to the state's registry. The change enables people to search for their records at any medical provider across Texas. But you will have to opt in to ensure your records are maintained for future access. You can do this by calling 210-207-5071.
Well, visitors can now access free Wi-Fi at several parks across the city of San Antonio. The program officially kicked off at Palm Heights Park, Friedrich Park, Pearsall Park, Harlandale Park, and Woodlawn Parks today. Several others, including Pittman Sullivan Park and San Pedro Springs Park, will soon be equipped with the Wi-Fi capability as well. On to 9 tonight, Adult Protective Services gets thousands of calls a year from people reporting abuse or neglect. And sometimes caseworkers need to call in a special doctor to see if an elderly person is still fit to live on their own.
But right now, there's only one doctor designated to do so for this entire region. But as Fox San Antonio's Melissa Vega explains, in just a couple of weeks, there will be 2.
He's a doctor on a mission.
I go out every Wednesday with APS.
The psychiatrist and state worker make up a unique team.
He's very vital to our investigation.
In fact, Dr. Jason Schillerstrom is the only geriatric psychiatrist for this region, from Victoria to Del Rio, working with Adult Protective Services.
He helps us determine if our client is safe or not.
APS specialist Sandra Hoshback and the doctor discuss a new case.
Right now I have a 90-year-old client who lives alone.
Dr. Schillerstrom's job, give APS a recommendation after evaluating an elderly person's life history, medical issues, financial abilities, if they're suffering from depression, and their memory.
How does our memory sync?
It seems a little fuzzy.
While APS gets thousands of calls a year, not all cases will need the doctor's attention.
Maybe they are fine and they just do need that Meals on Wheels.
Or other services. And come mid-July, Dr. Schillerstrom will have some help. Soon there will be 2 specialized doctors serving our community. Dr. Schillerstrom says when it comes to your aging family member, it's about sitting down and having those tough conversations.
Sometimes the hardest step is just acknowledging what's right there in front of us.
Melissa Vega, Fox News at 9.
Now, first warning weather with Chief Meteorologist Alex Garcia, winner of the 2017 AMS Award for Broadcast Meteorology.
Well, were you feeling like a little bit of a French fry today? There was a good reason for it. High pressure was in control, and it was really pushing down. You can see it on the clouds. They're trying to build up. They're trying to get something going, but it's just not happening. Let's take a look at temperatures now. These are the feel-like temperatures. In other words, a heat index. It's still 102 degrees down here at Pearsall. It was 100s last hour, and it's way too warm above normal this hour. And again, what's going to be happening tomorrow is what we call subsidence in the air. High pressure is going to be sitting aloft. We're going to be looking maybe 59 degrees at about 9,000 feet. That's pretty cool. But when the air begins to sink, look what happens. It begins to compress. And as it compresses, it warms up and it gets up there to near 97 by the time it gets down to the bottom. So that's what we're going to be looking at, the pattern happening tomorrow. And when that happens, you're going to be watching those heat index values just kind of shoot right out of the roof in the afternoon with all the extra moisture. Right now, it's 90 degrees over in Universal City, and they are usually the cool spot. Not tonight. 93 back over at Lackland, still pretty tough there. Temperatures tonight are going to be in a very slow cool down. And again, the reason being we've got a lot of moisture in the air. Gulf moisture is back. We've had a strong breeze out of the southeast today. That's going to continue tomorrow. So look for another morning when it's going to be pretty steamy. Temperatures won't drop into the 70s until about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And then when you wake up, it's still going to be about 77, 78 degrees. So it's going to be a steamy start to the day early in the morning. It will get worse as we get in the afternoon because the dew points are going to increase. And so that means the afternoon, the heat index could get up there to at least 103. We'll go from 100 to about 103 in the afternoon. So be prepared for tomorrow. It's going to be one of the hottest days of the week so far. Be prepared if you're planning something on the weekend, particularly out in the backyard, doing the grilling, having fun out there. The heat index is going to be up. It's going to be around 94 by 7 o'clock, but the heat index will probably be pushing somewhere about 101 to maybe even 102 because we're going to have a lot of moisture in the air. So here's the forecast coming up for tomorrow. With all the moisture in the air, it's not going to be a pretty start to the day. We're going to have lots of clouds. It's going to be steamy, 77. By midday, you're going to watch all the high pressure build in, the clouds going away. We're going to get up there to near 91. Later in the afternoon with the extra moisture, it's going to feel like 103. If you're going out to the beach, yeah, it's slightly cooler, 83 in the water, sort of.
In your Texas at 9, a third suspect in the fatal shooting of a 10-month-old Houston boy has been arrested. That man is now in jail on an unrelated charge, but police say he was involved with the death of the child. Investigators say a 22-year-old man was taking out the trash with his son when 3 men approached him. One of them began shooting and killed the child. The exact motive still unclear, but police say it is possible that it was in retaliation for a previous altercation.
New Essex County has its first case of the Zika virus. Officials confirmed the news at a press conference today. They say the case is travel related and that the patient recently traveled to Mexico. They say that it is where she contracted the virus.
Still to come, a birthday surprise for a teen fighting leukemia. The local military squadron teaming up to help make his spirits soar.
And the iPhone's turning 10. A look at what could be in store for the Apple device in the years ahead.
This is your movie moment brought to you by Santikos Entertainment. Okay, we've seen drama in a film, but this is a new level of creep.
A mother moves to a new town and befriends another mom. Then they try to kill each other with an unborn baby in the middle of all of it.
I think she may be mentally unwell, possibly dangerous.
Enough!
We don't know anything about this woman. You're a drug addict.
I'd rather die than have my child be raised by you.
You endangered the baby. Katie has grounds for keeping him now.
She's trying to kill me.
You're pathetic.
You accuse her of murder.
Please stay away from me.
You're gonna kill me?
Inconceivable hit Santikos theaters this weekend. I'm Esteban Solis.
And I'm Kimberly Crawford for Fox San Antonio.
This week, as it has been throughout the recent political season, the news is back in the news. One outlet catching a lot of heat is CNN. 3 journalists resigned from CNN on Monday, including the editor of their brand new investigative unit formed just last winter, and a Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter who joined the network only 3 months ago after working for the fabled New York Times. The reason for the departures? The journalists authored a story published on CNN.com which made allegations about a Russian investment fund with supposed ties to Trump officials. The story cited a single anonymous source and did not go through proper review procedures before being published on the website and shared on social media. After being exposed by Breitbart, CNN was forced to retract the story and issue an apology. This is far from the only incident that has caused problems for the 24-hour news network. Also this week, Project Veritas released a video of a CNN producer admitting that the network's constant coverage of the Trump-Russia narrative is much more about hype and ratings than fact and substance. I cannot quote the exact language used by the producer, as I am trying to keep this segment rated PG. Last month, CNN was forced to correct another one of their anonymously sourced stories regarding what former FBI Director James Comey was going to say during his testimony before Congress. The story, written by 4 CNN journalists, said Comey was going to tell Congress that he never assured President Trump that he, the president, was not under investigation. The testimony proved the story wrong. It's also important to further focus on CNN's digital presence. The network's website is supposed to be delivering news. However, it is dominated by opinion-based headlines and articles with more commentary than impartial fact. The bottom line is this: CNN, along with other cable news networks, is struggling to stick to the facts and to be impartial in covering politics in general and this president specifically.
This is San Antonio's Fox News at 9.
The city of San Antonio spends about $120,000 a year on bottled water, and a councilwoman is now calling for her colleagues to scale back. Councilwoman Anna Sandoval wants to stop using bottled water at council meetings and at City Hall, saying they are expensive and a source of pollution. Instead, she'd like to see pitchers and glasses or more use of water fountains. A city spokeswoman says the majority of the bottles are used by crews in the field. Sandoval hopes to make the change informally, starting with council meetings at the end of the summer.
And council members are also considering charging everyone a little more for public transportation. City staff presented the idea of raising the sales tax. Half a cent would boost VIA's budget by $140 million. Another consideration is tacking on a fee to utility bills. That money will go to transportation projects or to VIA. Council members are split.
We're going to be hopefully making a judgment about investment in public transportation and investment in VIA to ensure that we're not just moving vehicles, but we're moving people.
We have people that have to make choices between paying water bills or their medications. So 12 or 20 bucks a month or whatever the number ends up being on a transportation fee, if somebody tries to push that, could be the difference, that kind of difference between medication, could be the difference in fuel costs, could be diapers.
City leaders just learned about this idea. They'll be talking about it in the next few months as they craft the budget.
Robert Price back here at the live desk, where police up in Arlington, Texas have just released some new surveillance video. It shows the vehicle they believe was involved in a road rage murder over the weekend. Take a look. You're going to see a circle around that vehicle in question. Police say it's a BMW 700 series with dark tinted windows. The victim in this case, Dylan Spade, was driving the truck, which we're also going to highlight for you there on the bottom right. The young man had his girlfriend in the car with him at the time, and investigators think something happened between those two vehicles somewhere along I-20 that led to Spade, you see right there, getting shot and killed. They're hoping somebody recognizes that BMW and calls Arlington police. Now to Florida. And a sad update tonight from a power plant in the Tampa area. You see one of the victims there on a stretcher about to be loaded into a medical helicopter. Authorities are saying an explosion at that plant right there has left 2 workers dead and 4 others severely burned. They're in critical condition right now. This is the Big Bend Power Station, a major coal-fired power plant. They say the workers were conducting some routine maintenance at the bottom of one of the boilers, but still not clear tonight what exactly caused this explosion. Jessica.
Thanks, Robert. A young man in the battle for his life got the surprise of a lifetime by some of the Air Force's finest. The 560th Flying Training Squadron at Joint Base San Antonio Randolph hosted a party for Angel Vasquez's 17th birthday, who's also battling leukemia. But he was able to be a pilot for a day set up by his parents and the Air Force.
So grateful that they actually do this for kids like with my illness. And one in a lifetime opportunity, you know? So I'm so happy I'm here.
Vasquez got the chance to tour the squadron, received a flight suit, and visited T-38 and T-6 flight simulators. And the squadron out there does so many great endeavors like this in our community, so that's just one of the many.
I was going to say they probably got just as much out of it as Angel got out of that visit today.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, for us, let's go to July 4th weekend. People want to be barbecuing, want to go outside. Will Mother Nature cooperate?
I think Mother Nature is going to cooperate on the rain side. On the temperature side could be a little bit of an issue there. We could be looking at triple digits temperatures. Here's the reason why. Take a look. We're watching the trend over the next 10 days, and notice it's all above normal. We're going right into Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It kind of comes down a little bit, but then stays above. So that means the trend is going to be above 93 because that's our normal. We're going to be sitting above that. Plus, we're going to have a lot of moisture in the air, and that means heat index values are going to go up. Now, how hot is it going to be? Good news is, if you're east of San Antonio, it looks like you're going to have more moisture in the air. It won't be so bad over the next 3 days. Temperatures all trending into the 80s, but closer in, yeah, you see a couple of those 90s starting to come back in. Further out to the west, this is where high pressure really builds in. It's not so much moisture. And look at the temperatures starting to go back up. Down to the southwest, hardly any moisture at all. You're going to be on the dry side. And boy, temperatures are really going to be hot as the high pressure builds in from the west and settles down. So that means your temperatures are going to be going up over the next 3 days. If you get a little bit closer to the coast again, here comes that moisture in to help you out, which is not bad. Temperatures in the 80s. But as soon as you get out of that moisture field, look at what happens. It dries up, you get hot temperatures, they go back up into the 90s again. Let's look at the 10-day American and European model. Here's the American model. It's trending right at the 93 mark or a little bit above. So we're just slightly above the normal there. The European all last week was trying to keep us cool almost all through the time period. But look, now it's down to like 1, 2, maybe 3, 4 days. So it looks like it's starting to come in line with the American model, and that's why we're still sticking with that. And what we're saying is temperatures are going to be trending above the normal. First alert, let's get out there. That's the big high pressure that's out to the west of us. Out in the Pacific, we've got another system here. Not sure if that's going to actually make it and get to us. We've got one above that that's also trying to get its well around that. We're going to keep an eye on it. But the bigger thing is to watch what's going on in the Caribbean. We've got a lot of moisture there, got a lot of buildup there, and it's kind of showing up on the long-term models. We're looking dry from the 30th all the way across 4th July weekend into the 8th and even into the 9th. But after that, this is all tropical moisture that we're looking at here on the computer models, and that's why we've got the umbrellas up. That could be a lot of tropical moisture, and it could be something in the Gulf. So we're going to keep an eye on that and see what's going on. Don't forget, tomorrow is going to be a super hot day with the UV index being in the extreme category, so make sure you have that sunscreen.
I'll certainly need a lot of it. Today marks 10 years since the first Apple iPhone was released to the public. Since then, we have seen new versions of that phone along with other smartphones developed. Dan Bean, Circus Tech correspondent, has a closer look at what we could see over the next 10 years.
The iPhone's turning 10 years old, and it's changed a lot since its 2007 introduction. But it's in the next 10 years where we could see the iPhone and really all smartphones undergo some really big changes. So what will the iPhone be at its 20th anniversary? According to the Wall Street Journal, who looked at patents Apple's filed and spoke to analysts who follow the company closely, it's poised to, more than ever before, exist outside of its rectangular screen, residing on our wrists, in our ears, and in our glasses. If you need something you might be able to without a phone in your hand, just ask Siri. She'll hear you through the tiny earbuds in your ear and reply to you the same way. But how Siri will show you information could change from popping it onto your iPhone screen to projecting it right in front of your eyes as you walk around, thanks to augmented reality glasses that recent patents and company acquisitions show Apple is very interested in developing. And what will the Apple phone itself look like in 2027? Innovation is veering toward thinner phones and possibly even completely foldable phones. But then there's also the idea that the brain of your phone could be implanted, essentially, in your brain. If you ask Martin Cooper, the inventor of the cell phone, he'll tell you that's what the future really is.
The optimum place to put a telephone is let's stick it, say, right behind your ear.
For the meantime, we'll have to wait for shrinking implantable phones and settle for shrinking phone screen bezels. For Circa, I'm Dan Bean.
For more tech news from a different perspective, visit circa.com. Still ahead tonight at the museum with a twist, the fun and games the museum had for adults.
And one canine has great taste in music. What happened when this dog tried to conduct an orchestra?
You're watching Fox News at 9.
The Valero Texas Open now has a grand total from its annual tournament, Birdies for Charity. This year, they raised over $2.3 million. That money is going to 137 local organizations, including Morgan's Wonderland. One donor was presented with a brand new Ford Mustang.
The museum transformed this evening, throwing an adults-only party. The redo is part of its summer tech series. Those who are 21 and over got to drink and have fun with the 90s throwback theme. Some of the tech activities included virtual reality races, large-scale painting with movements, and stop-motion animation.
This is an opportunity for adults who may not otherwise be able to come into the museum to have some fun in here too and have a night like a kid would.
Party wrapped up about 10 minutes ago. You can visit the museum's website to learn more about the summer tech series. Family loves going there.
Oh, I bet. I'm all about acting like a kid whenever you can.
That spy shop is pretty fun, too.
I haven't had a chance to see it.
Check it out. All right, high pressure has moved in, settling things down. Alex will tell us what it will do to the pollen mix.
And later in Max Sports, the truth behind Dak Prescott and Tony Romo's relationship. What's Cowboys starting QB revealed about his backup last year?
This is Fox News at 9.
Take a look right now outside Public Safety Headquarters, where a public memorial continues to grow tonight in support of two officers who were shot, one listed in grave condition, the others listed in serious condition. We're told the person involved in that shooting, the suspect, is dead. We'll continue to follow this story. We'll post the latest tonight on foxsanantonio.com.
And as for the pollen count, that mold shot up this week. Where does it stand now?
And, you know, with all the pressure coming in and things kind of settling down a little bit, it backed off, which is good. Finally backed off a little bit. But, you know, over the weekend, we're going to see a little bit more moisture move back in. So We'll see that kind of vary as we get going. It is in the high category right now, coming in at about 2,700. All right, so here's what the comfort index is looking like in the morning. Going to be another steamy one to start today, and by later in the day, it's going to get even steamier as we get along, as the heat index really starts to shoot up the scale. Here's what we're looking at: 78 in the morning, and then by midday, we'll be seeing partly cloudy skies, temperature approaching 90 degrees. Now, later in the afternoon, watch out. This is when that heat index is going to be approaching 103 or even up to 104 degrees tomorrow. Down south of us, it could get as high as 109, even though the air temperature will be 96. It'll be a slow cool down tomorrow night. We'll still be in the 80s by the 9 o'clock hour.
But at least it's Friday, right?
That's right.
So reason to celebrate.
Everyone welcomes a Friday. Well, how about this? What is your favorite classical composer? Maybe Beethoven, maybe Mozart?
For one golden retriever? Well, take a look. Now, here's a dog who can really appreciate classical music. This was in Turkey during a Vienna Chamber Orchestra performance. A dog wandered on stage and just made himself comfortable.
He was sitting right next to the concert master, and he conducted the first piece of Mendelssohn's Italian Symphony. People that were there say the unexpected arrival was the cutest moment in classical music. I would agree.
I thought maybe he might have lifted his leg. This could have gone really bad, but it didn't happen.
I felt bad for the musicians because they've worked on their so talented. The dog just walks up,
took away,
and literally steals the show.
Steals the
Everyone
whole
freaks
show.
out. Awesome.
Well, how about some time for truth serum in men's sports?
Exactly. That's exactly what we have. Now, the Spurs, the truth is they didn't land Chris Paul, but there's a lot going on. We check in with Jonathan Simmons and Kyle Anderson in New York City. Plus, Danny Green tells us about a surprising phone call he got from Coach Pop last week. We'll tell you about it. Max Sports is next.